Okay, here I'm going to do problem number 5 in homework. In problem 5, it gives you 36 bits in a row, and it says to draw the waveform for B8ZS. That is bipolar with 8-0 substitution, line coding for the following bit sequence. And you'll recall that B8ZS is used for a T1 line, and it's a bipolar AMI encoding where every time we get 8 zeros in a row, they're replaced by a certain pattern with 2 code violations. And in AMI, alternate mark inversion, what we're doing is we're getting either positive voltage or a negative voltage, and they alternate every time we get a bit. And so the waveform on a bipolar AMI looks something like this, where every time we have a 1, we go to an either positive or negative voltage. So we have 0 voltage when we have zeros, and then every time we get a 1, we go either positive or negative, and we alternate between positive, negative, positive, negative, positive. So alternating mark inversion. Okay, and so this signal with just bipolar AMI, every time there's something other than a 0 voltage, it has to alternate between positive and negative. And if for some reason it didn't, if we had 2 positive voltages in a row or 2 negative voltages in a row, that would be called a code violation, a violation of the code. Well, what we're going to do in B8ZS, or bipolar with 8-0 substitution, it is used in a T1 line, and every time we get 8 zeros, we're going to replace it with a certain pattern that has 2 code violations. And that's going to alert the receiver that we really should have 8 zeros in a row once we see that. And you can see what these code violations look like in this diagram here. Hope you can read that. It's kind of small. In any case, 8 zeros are replaced by a pattern of 0, 0, 0, VB, 0, VB. So a violation, a bipolar signal, a 0, then a violation, then a bipolar signal. Okay, so B80S, we replace 8 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, with 3 zeros, a violation, another bipolar signal that doesn't violate, a 0, then a violation, then another bipolar signal. And so this is fairly straightforward to go at from here in drawing this waveform. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, for part A, assume that the first 1 in the sequence has a positive voltage. And that'll get me started on my alternating plus minus sequence. So the first 1 is going to have a positive voltage. And then I have 0 for zeros. Is that right? 0 is a 0, and a 1 is alternating plus and minus. So I have a 0, then I have a negative, then a 0, then a positive. And now I'm going to have 8 zeros in a row. And 8 zeros in a row take me out to, I have more than that here, but I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it's going to take me out to this spot. And I'm going to go ahead and write in that I'm going to have a 0, 0, 0, V, B, 0, V, B here. And so I'm going to have zeros. And now I'm going to have a violation, which means that I'm going to go positive again, because I really should be going negative, but I'm going to go positive, and then I'm going to have a normal bipolar, so it follows, then a 0, then a violation, so the last one was negative, so I'm going to go negative again, and there. And now a 0. And now a 1 is going to be a normal bipolar, and so it better go 0, 0, now positive, now negative, now 0, now positive, and now I've got another string of long string of zeros, and I'm going to go 0, 0, 0, V, B, 0, V, B again. Okay, and so I'm going to go 0, 0, 0. And for my violation, I'm going to go positive because my last one was positive, and then a bipolar, then a 0, and then another violation, and a bipolar. And now I've got how many zeros here? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, just 4 of them. So I go ahead and leave it at 0. And now this 1 takes me negative, 0, positive. So that's what that signal looks like. And you can argue it, sort of talk yourself through it the way I just did. If the first one in the sequence gave a negative voltage, it would just invert the entire signal. Okay, so I can draw that here using the same scale, and so I'll try to freehand it in there. If the first one gave a negative voltage, then I'd have a 0 and a positive, a 0 and a negative, so I don't have any code violations yet. And so the whole entire thing, oh, here I have my first code violation, except it's on the negative side. So the whole entire signal is simply inverted from the previous picture. Okay, so I can maybe draw that in here fairly accurately. Okay, now I go 3 zeros, and now I have a code violation, and another code violation. Zeros up this time and down that time. So that's what it looks like, just the inverse. Okay, hope that helps. I think I just did. So this is part B. Yes. Make your two waveforms line up with each other vertically so they can be compared easily, and the comparison is that they're just opposites of one another. Okay, hope that helps.